صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، ما خاب من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي، فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. All together. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم جميعا يا شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قد سمع الله قول التي تجادلك في زوجها وتشتكي إلى الله والله يسمع تحاوركما إن الله سميع بصير. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Illuminate your hearts and purify this gathering with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A second in honor of the Sayyida Zainab. Allahumma ala Muhammad. A third salawat in honor of Ali al-Asghar with your loudest of voices. Allah. Muhammad. This is the eve of Ashura. Tomorrow is the day in which we commemorate the biggest tragedy in Islamic history, arguably the biggest tragedy in all of history. When the self of Rasulullah was martyred on that day. When the blood of Rasulullah was slaughtered on that day and innocently spilled. When the manifestation of Allah's rahmah was killed on that day. Tomorrow, insha'Allah ta'ala, we will come and commemorate. For this is a day we gave to Imam Hussein. We give to Imam Hussein because he gave it for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Imam al-Hussein gave him everything. Al-Hussein a'ta Allah kulla shay. Fa'atahu Allah kulla shay. And I want this to be a core principle in all of our lives. That Imam al-Hussein gave Allah everything, so Allah gave him everything. Because when you look at the sacrifice of Imam Hussein, he literally gave Allah everything, from his brothers to his nephews to his own 6-month-old baby. He gave it all for the message of Islam. Al-Hussein, and I want you all to remember this in your heart. A small core principle. أعطى الله كل شيء فأعطاه الله كل شيء. That we have to remember Hussein gave everything to Allah, and then in return Allah gave him everything. Keep this as a principle. Whatever you give back to Allah, Allah will not give you back exactly how much you gave to him. He'll give you even more. Allah will continue and constantly reward you and multiply your rewards. So remember that. Keep it in your mind. And who solidified it and crystallized it in 100% perfection and epitomized it to a perfect level? Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. For indeed, a man that was willing to sacrifice his family, his blood, himself, his companions for a message. What is that message? The message of humanitarianism. The message of La ilaha illallah. The message of peace. The message of love. The message of sacrifice. The message of liberation. The message of liberty. The message of stability. Imam Hussein inspires millions today, brothers and sisters. Millions upon millions. And that is why I see many non-Muslims are inspired by the message of Imam al-Hussein. Gandhi said that I have learned to be oppressed, or I have learned to be little in number but still come out successful. Because Hussein was little in number and he still came out successful. Imam al-Hussein inspires the minds of free thinkers. We are all free thinkers, hence why we commemorate his martyrdom. Tomorrow, the 10th of Ashura, we will come and commemorate. tell your obligations that right now I am with Hussein. It is makruh to work tomorrow. Makruh. Yani karaha shadida. Allah despises that. Tomorrow, tell your obligation, tell your school, right now I am with Imam Hussein. And if you cannot postpone it, you can't, then at least postpone any obligations you have from the morning till Salatul Dhuhr. Around that is the time in which the Imam was martyred. That he gave his blood for you. Salamullahi alayhi. Literally, he gave his blood for all of us. Literally. Like, I mean literally. If Yazid was still Khalifa and Imam al-Hussein didn't rise, Islam would not be here today. So he literally sacrificed everything for us. So if you can't skip the whole day, then skip just between the morning and Dhuhr time. It's very makruh. And makruh is not haram, but it's karaha shadida. I hate. That's what karaha means, hatred. It's despised to do that, my dear respected brothers and sisters. So inshallah, we will prioritize this event, this commemoration, and make our efforts to come by and commemorate the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh. There was a Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad. There was a woman during the time of the Holy Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Her name was Khawla bint Tha'laba. Khawla was married to another one of these men that didn't show too much affection to his wife. He wouldn't give her attention when she would like the attention. And he wouldn't look at her like he used to look at her back when they were younger. She was an elderly lady and he was an elderly man. And there was a time in which she desired his attention. She would desire his comfort. And then he came and would tell her, he would come and tell her that you are like my mom. Back then, you are like my mom was an idiom for I'm no longer interested in you. You know, I don't, you're not desirable to me anymore. However, I'll still keep you as my spouse. This Khawla was very much insulted by this. That one day, he also came back to her and said, you know, I would love to be with you now. Let's enjoy each other's company. And then she would refuse. The other day you said, I'm like your mom. And now you're telling me that now you want to enjoy my company. Which is it? You can't play games with me like that. So she became very much affected of her husband's mistreatment to her. That one day he's calling me names. The other day he's showing me affection. The next day he's showing me, he's adding insult to injury basically. What she decided to do is what any rational human being would do. If Rasulullah is your neighbor, you go to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So she would go to the Holy Prophet and she would complain. Tashtaki. She would complain to the Rasul. That, oh Rasulullah, my husband is mistreating me. That this is abuse. That one day he's with me, another day he's away from me, the other day he's calling me names, another day he wants me. It's a psychological game basically, you know? When you eventually, ultimately, when you sign up for a marriage, what's it called? Zawaj. Zoj, two pairs. You can have Zojain, what's it called? Shoes. Or Zojain, gloves. They're two pairs. They're linked partners. So when you marry Zawaj, you're essentially linking you and something else, a partner. And this is a lifelong commitment. And you commit to this. If there are times in which you do not want to show affection, that must be understood from the get-go. However, if one day you're playing games here and another day you're calling names here, that at the end of the day is a form of abuse. And so she would go to the Holy Prophet and say that this man is not fulfilling his rights with me. This man, my husband, he's being rude to me like that. That one day when he wants me, when I want affection, he doesn't want me and he calls me his mom to show that, hey, you know, I can't, you know, comfort my mom this way. Of course, I'm not going to do that to you. And then the next day, now he wants my affection. He can't play games like this with me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayat. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In which surah of the Holy Quran? Surah al-Mujadilah. Surah al-Mujadilah literally means the woman who pleaded. Allah named an entire chapter of the Holy Quran over a woman that pleaded. This should be a sign that our respected sisters and our daughters and our mothers and all the women in our community, whenever they speak with Allah directly, Allah is listening. And you know what the beautiful part about this ayah is? Allah reiterates this 3 times. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qad sami Allah. I hear. Allah heard. Qad sami Allah قول التي تجادلك في زوجها وتشتكي إلى الله والله يسمع تحاوركما. Allah hears the complaints going on. Inna Allah sami'un basir. And Allah is all hearing, all seeing. Sometimes, actually not even sometimes, all the times, when you discuss Islam and the marital status between husband and wife, To non-Muslims, they say their men must be very abusive. The women must have no rights. They must feel so ostracized. They must feel so marginalized. They must feel so domestically abused. You know, must feel so limited. Must feel so isolated. They can't go outside the home without their husband's permission. They can't go shopping. They can't go to school unless Mr. Husband says yes. Allah says, if you ever complain, I hear, I hear, I hear. قد سمع الله قول التي تجادلك في زوجها وتشتكي إلى الله والله يسمع تحاوركما إن الله سميع بصير. That if your husband is abusing you like this, don't think that no one else is there for you. I hear you. I hear your complaint. It's not a joke. Some brothers and sisters, the stories that come to me over Facebook, over emails, over WhatsApp, the abusive relationship that they are living with, having and living with their husbands is not a funny situation. Where the husband mistreats and calls names. Brothers and sisters, that's haram. If the spouse is affected, why did you sign up for this contract? You know what you're going into. So don't play games like that. My husband one day, he's abusing me. What form of abuse? Mental abuse. That's just as bad as physical abuse. What do you mean mental abuse? One day he decides to give me affection and show me attention. The other day he says, I couldn't care less about you. Watch out what you're doing. This is another creation of God. You don't own. That's why in Islam, the wife doesn't take the last name of the man. The wife, unlike the Western world, she doesn't take the man's last name because she's not property to the guy. She can divorce him if he abuses her too much. And this concept of divorce, Islamically, in Islamic theology, is very much looked down upon. In fact, Allah despises it. Remember, makruh, karaha shadida, Allah despises it. But sometimes it'll be necessary. There are certain types of divorces, brothers and sisters, that is really interesting to discuss because some people like to jump to conclusions. If my spouse is treating me this way, or if my husband is treating me like that, or if my wife is treating me like this, can I divorce? We have to understand what are the parameters of divorce, which is on itself a whole entire lecture. But ultimately there are three types: talaq, khul'i, talaq raj'i, and then there is talaq al-hakim, which we'll get into just one second. Khul'i is basically when the wife wants a divorce. Raj'i is when the husband asks for a divorce. Talaq al-hakim is when the hakim al-shar'i, like the mujtahid perhaps, let's say, can divorce either the wife or the husband without the other party's permission or without the other party knowing. Like if a wife goes, and this is for really like critical situations, the wife or the husband can go and say, my spouse is abusing me. What kind of abuse? Domestic abuse. Or they're not providing for me anything. Nafaqa is wajib for the husband. The husband, if he does not provide nafaqa, meaning provide sustenance for their family, it's wajib on him to do so. If he doesn't, the hakim al-shar'i can divorce her from him without even the husband knowing. But what if it's just a khul'i divorce or a raj'i divorce? Then of course there would be a meeting between the two. Let's try to resolve this situation, because talaq is at the end of the day makruh, very much looked down upon. And so we have to try to fix situations, because sometimes people jump to conclusions. Oh, they've come back home late at night. I don't want them anymore. They don't give me time. Okay, that can be changed. They can come back home later or before that. Okay, that can be adjusted. That's not a reason for divorce. But if they are literally abusing you, domestic abuse, some of the messages I receive, they don't propose lawful intervention. It's always, what can the Maulana do for me, or the Sheikh do to me, or the Sayyid do to me? Can I go to the law first of all? If it's domestic abuse, call the cops. Because number one, that's haram, and your life is a priority, okay? Number two, then go to the hakim al-shar'i. That this person is abusing me, they'll just completely get away with it and end the situation right then and there. Because the wife has the right to nullify a marriage if the husband is abusive. If there is a concept of diya being implemented where the person hurts the other person and they really hurt them, so that's like you can tell there are marks and scars, stop, no need to stay. If you can resolve the issue, if it was a one-time thing and you understood that it wasn't necessarily done with hard negative, perhaps it could have been an accident, then that can be resolved. But if it's domestic abuse, brothers and sisters, Islam tells, go to the law. This person, at the end of the day, they left their home to live with you. They left their family to stay with you. They trusted you. We paired with each other. And if you have mistreatment like that, think of your own daughter. What would you do? What would you prescribe on that in that situation? Number one, the law. Number two, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will deal with them. Alhamdulillah, there is a day of judgment, honestly. Alhamdulillah, Allah is the judge and not any other human. Because humans want to see you become and reach your downfall. They want to see you become or become a person of distress at times. You may have a personal thing against another person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's in everyone's hearts, and so He knows which one has the right way, which one has the wrong way, which one is going with a good argument, which one. Allah knows our intentions inside and out. So it's beautiful that He's the judge on the Day of Judgment and not anybody else. So that's the concept and that's the idea with the divorce issue. However, Allah in this ayah said something very beautiful. That if there is domestic abuse going on in all forms, whether it's physical, psychological, mental, I hear that maybe if the society is not intervening, or maybe if your family is not coming in to help you, maybe they're just saying, oh, you're being dramatic. Oh, it's just, you're going through a phase. You're new to this. Allah hears and sees. But why does Allah reiterate, I hear? Why does Allah say, قَدْ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّتِي تُجَادِلُكَ فِي زَوْجِهَا وَتَشْتَكِي إِلَى وَاللَّهُ يَسْمَعُ تَحَاوُرَكُمَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ بَصِيرٌ. Because a lot of times we see the effects, we don't necessarily hear them. That you may see a person, their life may look like they're living a happy life. They may put on a smile. But when they speak behind closed doors, those are the moments that they're speaking sincerely. When no one else is looking, Allah hears the situation going on, what's going on, and what's happening. So we have to keep that in mind, my dear respected brothers and sisters. This lady, Khawla bint Tha'laba, would go to the Holy Prophet and complain about that situation. Allah then subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these ayat, and her situation was resolved, alhamdulillah, according to the narrations in history. But there is another misconception that arises when we discuss that the marital status of Muslims, either living in the 21st century, Western world, or any other part of history, or any other part of the world for that matter, that there is this rampant issue of domestic abuse. That you see people will come and substantiate these claims by quoting ayat of the Holy Quran. Amongst the ayat of the like such as the ones that Fox News loves to quote. The infamous wife beating verse. And we discussed this a few nights ago amongst the brothers and sisters with the Q&A. But because this is such a vital discussion to bring, I thought it would be necessary to bring it. Because when you look at any conservative, let's just admit it, a conservative news show, someone on other of the likes such as Sean Hannity, Fox News, even people of the likes such as, Terry Jones, the psychopath that burnt the Quran, pastor from Florida, they'll always, or Terry Wood from YouTube, that conservative Christian gentleman, they'll always quote to you this ayah of the Holy Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim from Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, ayah number 34. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَاللَّاتِ تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزَهُنَّ فَعِظُوهُنَّ وَهْجُرُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ. And from your spouses of which you fear indecency from, then speak with them, have a discourse with them. If that doesn't work, then what? Then separate the bedding. Hijrah, وَهْجُرُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ. Hijrah, separation. Then separate the bedding. If that doesn't work, what does the English Quran say? Beat them. What does the Arabic Quran say? وَضْرُبُوهُنَّ. Now, one may argue, ضَرَبَ means beat. What are you talking about? If from your spouses of which you fear indecency from, then talk with them. If that doesn't work, then separate the bedding. If that doesn't work, then beat them. Clearly, Allah is sanctioning domestic abuse in this ayah. What's the response to that? The response, my dear respected brothers and sisters, is so easy and so simple. Number one, the Quran doesn't speak in metaphors. The Quran doesn't speak in figurative language. The Quran doesn't use symbolism. Of course it does. We are not a fundamentalistic school of thought where we read the Quran word by word. If it says kill all disbelievers, we'll kill all disbelievers. No. That's the mindset of terrorist organizations where they say, oh, it says kill the kuffar, anyone that's not Muslim. No. The Quran uses figure of speech. Sometimes there's a context revealed for a certain group of people that lived during a certain time period. It may use parallels. It may use examples. It may use figures of speech. It may use metaphors. So who's to say that the word daraba doesn't have another meaning perhaps? Sometimes when I, or with my friends, when we play soccer and we beat the other opponent, because I'm always going to beat the other people in the match. When we beat them, you know what we say? Oh, we killed you. Did we really kill them? No, we didn't kill them. But it's a figure of speech, it's an expression that we won. But we'll say words and terms like, oh, we killed you, we beat you guys. No, we just, we won in a soccer game. That's pretty much all there is to it. So when we see the verse, and beat your spouse, why does our mind jump to conclusions and think that it literally means beat? And by the way, that's not the ayah of the Holy Quran. No, that's part of the ayah. Why don't you read the other verses before it? Why? Why do you cherry pick and like to blame Islam for all domestic abuse in our. Why? The ayah begins, الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men are caretakers of women. What kind of caretaker are you if you beat your wife here? Isn't that a contradiction? The ayah begins, men are caretakers of women, and then it concludes, beat your spouse? Contradiction. Does the Quran contradict itself? No. So that must mean there is a wrong interpretation. What's the interpretation? There are two views, my dear respected brothers and sisters, regarding this ayah. Number one, that the word ضرب doesn't actually mean ضرب. That's one view. And I'll get to the other view where it does mean ضرب, but not the ضرب that you think about, not the beat that you think about, or not you guys, inshallah, you are all learned individuals, inshallah ta'ala. But I'm speaking about, those right-wing, conservative, Islamophobic sources that will come and say, look, beat your wife. The Quran, when you translate it to English, it doesn't become the Quran anymore. It was revealed in Arabic. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا. So that's one. Two, the word ضرب, my dear respected brothers and sisters, Allah in the Holy Quran uses it in 6 different times for 6 different definitions. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. ضرب الله مثلا للذين كفروا or آمنوا. Allah, if ضرب only means beat, Allah beats them an example. Allah smacks them an example. Allah whacks them gives them an example. In another ayah, Allah may use the word ضرب to travel. Wait a second. To separate. Maybe if we connect that definition to this one right here, things will make more sense. Where is that definition? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. للفقراء الذين أحصروا في سبيل الله لا يستطيعون ضربا في الأرض. For the orphans that, can't do much. The orphans, they can't hit the floor, beat the floor, smack the floor. Hit the floor, 7th century Arabian Peninsula was an idiom for travel, to separate, to go. لا يستطيعون ضربا في الأرض. They cannot hit. They cannot travel, they can't leave, they can't depart. So why does our mind jump to conclusions when we see this ayah, وَضْرُبُوهُنْ means beat your wife? Why doesn't it just mean separate, to depart? At the end of the day, who does the tafsir? Ulama do. Are ulama ma'sumin? No, not necessarily. So could there be a different understanding? Could there be a different definition? Yes. So let's go to look at another understanding of this ayah right here. That yes, wait a second, it does mean beat. It does. Because clearly it says ضَرَبَ. That وَاللَّاتِ تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزُهُنَّ. That what you do, فَعِظُهُنَّ. Admonish them, speak with them. Hey, I don't like what's going on. You're coming back home at like 2 a.m. What's going on over here? You're hiding something behind my back. Okay, talk with them. That didn't work? Separate the bedding. Why separate the bedding? With the intention that, that we've been separated. I miss your company. Let's try and resolve our issues. Sort of the good cop, bad cop. You know what I'm saying? Okay, hey, generally it'll be the wife that'll take the bed and the husband will take the couch. But, you'll be separated and I miss your company. Let's come and resolve our problems. That'll work, yeah. If that doesn't work, وَضْرُبُوهُنْ. Beat them. So you tried to talk with them, that didn't work. You separated the beddings, that didn't work. So clearly beating them would work. Does that make any sense to you? The Quran's a book of logic and rationale. Habibi, Mr. Fox News, when you come and analyze it, don't forget that this is a book a quarter of humanity follow. We are not stupid human beings. We know what our book says. Every word Allah uttered. Our ulama will come and tell you, wait up. Beat, yeah, sure, okay. But let's look at the context of this ayah. When was it revealed? When the ayah was revealed, the men of that time actually started becoming more abusive to their wives. The woman would go to the Holy Prophet and would complain, "Oh Rasulullah, our husbands, look what they're doing." Rasulullah would come out from his home angry, and he would say to them, "Hold on. This ayah wasn't revealed so you can abuse your wives like that." And then he pulled a twig from the tree. He said, if you ever want to discipline with contact, this is your limit. Have you seen like the miswak? Little wooden toothbrush like that? He's like, that's your limit. It was an example, a symbolic example, that if you ever want to physically discipline your spouse, then that is your limit. That doesn't do anything. So that's a figure of speech. It's an example. That's your limit. So there is no domestic abuse. It's haram in Islam. So what's the definition and understanding of this ayah? That perhaps Islam is sanctioning that if you ever want to use physical discipline, that is your limit. Just that, a tap. Because what happens when a tap becomes a whack? If the skin turns red, there's blood money that you have to pay. Diya, haram. So what kind of dharab, beat, that can I do so I don't do a sin? What kind of beat can I do? What? You can't. There is no such thing. So it's as if you want to accept it as having a different definition, go ahead, accept that as having different. And there are some ulama that accept this. Ayatollah Shaykh Misbah al-Yazdi will say, yeah, daraba means something else. Means it could mean to even divorce, separate. Allah uses it in the Quran, different definition. Ayatollah Shaykh Misbah Yazdi and Ayatollah Shaykh Yusuf Sana'i in Qom will also say the same thing. However, there are other ulama that will say, wait a second, it does mean beat, but that's the limit. That's the limit. That's it. That's it. It means that, hey, you can't be physically abusive. That is your limit right there. That's it. That's pretty much all. And how do they substantiate that claim? They'll look at ahadith, sahih nusus from the Ahlul Bayt and the Holy Prophet that'll come and tell you the procedure of doing tayammum, ablution without water, tayammum, and what the wording is used. That the Imams of Ahlul Bayt and Rasulullah would say that what do you have to do in order to collect the dirt, the turab? They would always use this word, وَضْرُبُ الْأَرْض. That smack, that if it was beat the floor, no one would do tayammum, okay? But it's a light tap like that in order to collect dirt so you can do tayammum. If it was beat the floor, because the word daraba was used here, وَضْرُبُ الْأَرْض, and all ahadith, they always say, no, it's a light tap like that in order to collect dirt. Therefore, there is no understanding, no way you can come and say daraba here means to smack your spouse. And I ask one question, why is it always, if the wife is disobedient to the husband, a lot of times the husband is disobedient to his wife. Where is the ayat in the Holy Quran that discusses what the wife can do to her husband if he's disobedient? How can we never look at that ayah? In Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 127 up until 130, the punishment of a husband if he is disobedient. Why do we always, Mr. Fox News, why do you always look at the wife? Why? Or you don't try to make Islam patriarchal, that it marginalizes women, that that we're a misogynistic religion? Don't jump to conclusions. Allah is equal. Allah is fair. That there a wife, she can come and perform a procedure in which she can come and punish her husband if he's disobedient. And there's the same, likewise, same procedure for the husband. Allah makes things equal. إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى. Not dhakar and maybe untha. No. White, male and female. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. That we are all created equal in the eyes of Allah. The only one that's better than the other is the one that's God conscious. Therefore, let's try to remove and dispel this ugly misconception that Islam, my dear respected brothers and sisters, doesn't uphold the rights of our respected women. And who comes and becomes that symbol and manifests that message? We look at early Islamic history, As-Sayyida Al-Tahira Al-Mutahhira As-Sayyida Khadija Salamullahi alayha. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A second salawat for As-Sayyida Khadija, a louder one. Come on, brothers and sisters. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. She broke all the stereotypes regarding women in that society. That it was seen as very frowned upon for a woman to go and work. Sayyidah Khadija worked. In fact, she was one of the she was the wealthiest woman in her society. They would call her Amirat Quraysh, the princess of Banu Quraysh. She was very wealthy. She had a business that would span from Yemen to Sham that people would go with and trade. She would sell silk. She would sell material. She would sell spices. She was the boss and she was her own leader. She would prove that example, my dear respected brothers and sisters, and she broke that stereotype. Women, they're not supposed to work. What are you talking about? The lady that funded Islam with all her wealth, Rasulullah would say, لولا سيف علي ومال خديجة. Islam wouldn't have made it today had it not been for the valiant sword of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the wealth of Sayyidah Khadija. Islam wouldn't be here today. Sayyidah Khadija was that figure that embodied women's rights entirely with its complete definition. That if you think it's wrong for women to work, the wife of the greatest man in existence would be the woman to work. And she broke the other stereotype in which if you think it's ab for a woman or culturally inappropriate for a woman to go and find her husband, she would be the prime example and she would find her own husband. I don't have to sit down and wait for Prince Charming to come and take me away. Save me. No, wait, I'm not going to sit and wait. Many of our brothers and sisters, there's this bad idea that, I'm just going to sit. If the time is right, I'll get married. Well, when is the time right, Habibi? When? Until someone comes and takes you off your feet like Prince Charming on his steed and takes you and puts you in this castle, or vice versa with the brothers. We're just going to sit and wait. There are brothers that like to say, Islam, yeah, it does encourage marriage, but early, right? Early marriage. And they would say get married at 20, 21, 19, okay. People like to argue, wait a second, Rasulullah, how old was he when he got married? He was 25. I'm going to wait until I'm 25. I'm going to be a Sunni, follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah at that point. No, Rasulullah would encourage early marriage so that one could get to know the other and have more time to get to know the other. And Rasulullah is not like every other man, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Rasulullah was also waiting for that prime moment that he was only suitable for Sayyidah Khadija and she was only suitable for him. They were meant for each other. But you find that the Holy Prophet would be proposed by a Sayyidah Khadija. Why would you sit and wait for Prince Charming? Prince Charming is not going to always come. Why is it called Prince Charming? Because that's fictitious. It's fictional. Stories. Not all the times there will be a man that will sweep us away or sweep you away. No, she came and she sought her own means. That, hey, I hear there is a man of nobility, a man of honor. They call him as-sadiq al-amin, the trustworthy, the pure. This man is known to be one with sublime morals and akhlaq. And she would allow her friend to go and question Rasulullah if he was interested in marriage. And she would go and they would inform Sayyiduna Abu Talib salamullahi alayh, and they would arrange that ceremony where Rasulullah would come and meet a Sayyidah Khadija for the first time. What a beautiful gathering. Nurun ala nur, light upon light. And they would get married by the act of a Sayyidah Khadija. She would come and propose to Rasulullah firsthand that if you thought it was culturally inappropriate for a woman to look for a spouse, it has to be the man who has to come and take you. Islam didn't begin that way. Rasulullah wasn't the one who proposed. No, she came up to him rather. And the other misconception and stereotype that she destroyed completely was that you always have to make sure that the husband is older than the wife. No. Sayyidah Khadija, in the school of Ahlul Bayt, we believe that Sayyidah Khadija was only 2 years older than Rasulullah. And we have sahih ahadith from our sources that will come and substantiate that. Our respected Sunni brothers and sisters will say no. Sayyidah Khadija was 45 years old. Rasulullah was 25. That we will agree on. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa wasallam was 25 years old when he got married. Okay? That we believe Sayyidah Khadija was only 2 years older than him at most, making her 27. Our Sunni brothers and sisters will come and differ. No, she was 45 years old. Now, where we substantiate our claims, besides a hadith saying that she was 27, is that the fact that when did Rasulullah have Fatima Zahra alayhi salam? He had her at around the time of the revelation of Islam and the mission to begin. So Rasulullah was 40 years old, so 25, 40, 15 years. If a Sayyidah Khadija was about 45 years old or 40 years old, 15 years, that would make her like 60 years old when she had Fatima Zahra. Is it possible for a wife by 60? I guess it is, if you're really strong perhaps. But they would say that Rasulullah would have other daughters as well, amongst them Fatima Zahra. And it doesn't seem like it would be normal for a wife to be 60 and yet have, children like that. So we do substantiate our claim with ahadith and with the historical context that she was only 2 years older than him. But nonetheless, I said Khadija was older than Rasulullah. That the man, why is it always common that the man needs to be older? Because generally, as the breadwinner of the family, the manly guy of the house, the guy who supplies and provides, it would only make sense that I have to be older. I am the greatest. I am the strong. Calm down. First of all, Sayyidah Khadija was 2 years older than Rasulullah. There's no notion of I am greater, I am this, I am that. If you find somebody with a pure heart, a clear conscience, God consciousness, piety, akhlaq, morality, if this person is 2 years older than you, 2 years younger than you, if they fit your criteria, that should be the only criteria there is. That should be the only timeline to follow. And there is also, and I would like to go through these misconceptions one by one. This would be the last one, inshallah. Another misconception that the other spouse, the potential spouse, needs to be very rich and wealthy. And some of our respected sisters will turn down invitations if the person is not wealthy enough, and the family will be angry. Why not? Brothers and sisters, at the end of the day, the man needs to be able to provide for her spouse. He has to provide. If she was living with her family and she owned a car, if she moves in with you, she's not going to have a car, she has every right to reject that invitation. Yes, of course, his akhlaq is good, his demeanor is nice, his iman is strong, but if you're poor, you have to learn you have to provide at the end of the day for a family. You have to learn to, provide for us and have an occupation at least. So we shouldn't put our respected sisters to shame when we say, oh, but he had good akhlaq, he was poor, but it's all about the inside. No, he has to at least provide. It's wajib in the school of Ahlul Bayt, that if the spouse that you're looking for owns, let's say, a certain material, like a car, you have to be able to at least provide something of similar value, if not more. unless she gives you permission that, you know what, I don't need a car from you. Because if she has to leave her family and sacrifice everything that she had and lived with just to live with you, you have to learn to be able to provide for it. Unless she gives you the exception, no, you don't have to. Like if she owned, for example, a certain set of clothing, you have to be able to provide the same exact clothing. She can't demean herself in order for you just to be satisfied. No, at the end of the day, it's zawaj, a bond between two partners. One doesn't have to lower the other in order for the one other to be satisfied. Whose priority are you trying to satisfy? Who are you trying to prioritize? Your satisfaction, your husband's, Allah's satisfaction. And these are the set of rules that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will set forth in order for a perfect pair to come together, inshallah ta'ala. Moving on with that, my dear respected brothers and sisters, tonight, inshallah, before we conclude, I would love to look over one more figure. As we discussed Khawla bint Tha'laba at the beginning, how Allah revealed a revelation, an ayah of the entire surah in the Quran over her and her situation. And As-Sayyidah Khadija, salamullahi alayha, tonight, inshallah, As-Sayyida Zainab alayha salam. I want to look at her history, but before that, Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. As-Sayyida Zainab, generally we look at the last few years of her life and we end the story. But it's beneficial to study the rest of her life as well. Because by doing so, we only read the last pages of the book and not the rest of her lifestyle. Thank you so much. I want to begin by looking at when, in her youth, she would look at Imam Ali, her father, alayhi salam, and Imam Ali would give her lessons. Amongst these beautiful lessons and discussions they would have, my dear respected brothers and sisters, is that Imam Ali one day would be found teaching her how to count. As-Sayyida Zainab, when she was very little, he would be telling her, my beloved daughter, say one. She would say one. And then he would tell her, say two. She would say one. He would say, Habibti, say two. She would say one. What's going on? Why aren't you saying two? She would say, oh my father, how can I say two with the tongue that has said one? From the beginning of her youth, she would only recognize Allah as Al-Ahad, the one. Oh my beloved father, how can I say two with the tongue that has said one? Of course, she is not responding back to Imam Ali, but she is demonstrating that, oh my beloved father, I recognize that there is an ilah out there. Ahad, la ahad, qul huwa Allahu ahad. That there is nothing like him, la sharika lah. There is nothing like him at all. And that I cannot say two with the tongue that has said one. She was demonstrating to her father, Imam Ali alayhi salam, that I have compassion the same way you have compassion for Rabbul Alameen. Beginning with that upbringing, she was also earning her lessons from her mother by watching her mother attend political gatherings like the event of Mubahala, where she would get affected by seeing her mother, As-Sayyida Zahra alayha salam, when she would attend the event of Mubahala, that wonderful event with the Christians of Banu Najran, and the ayat would be revealed. قُلْ تَعَالُوا نَدْعُوا أَبْنَاءَنَا وَأَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَنِسَاءَنَا وَنِسَاءَكُمْ وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ. That come and bring yourselves, we'll bring ourselves, your children, our children, your women, our women. Rasulullah would bring for his women Fatima Zahra alayha salam at this political gathering between the Christians and the Muslims, and they would come and have civil discourse. She would see her mother attending these invitations and these events, so she was inspired that, hey, as a woman, as a sister, there is no shame in becoming community activists. Be involved with the affairs of your municipality. If you don't like the policies that are being implemented, then be active. Who cares? If they tell you stay at home, say no, be quiet. I am the pupil of Fatima Zahra, of As-Sayyida Zainab. They would be involved with their affairs. Wherever there was oppression, did not Rasulullah say, Man sami'a munadiyan yunadi wa lam yajibhu falaysa bih Muslim? Whoever hears a person screaming for help, not a Muslim. Man sami'a musliman, or man sami'a sunniyan, or man sami'a shi'iyan. No. Man sami'a munadiyan yunadi ya lil muslimin wa lam yajibhu falaysa bi Muslim. That whoever hears a call from any human being, oh Muslims, come and aid me, come and help me, and doesn't respond to that call, is not a Muslim. This isn't gender exclusive for the men. No. The women as well are just as part of this society, and that example is proven and manifested by Sayyida Zainab when she stood up to the tyrant of her time, by Fatima Zahra when she would stand up to the oppressors of her time. That is a concept of affirmed in religion by these wonderful women of Islam. As-Sayyida Zainab, As-Sayyida Zahra, and As-Sayyida Khadija. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And you find that becoming motivated by her wonderful mother, Fatima Zahra, being inspired, that she would inspire the millions of sisters today, my dear respected brothers and sisters. And you find many of our sisters would come and bring and put their life on the line because of that message and because of that inspiration. That as a woman, we are not supposed to stay behind in our homes for our respected sisters. That you can't just seclude yourself, as some people may say, as some men may say, that your place, where is it? It's inside the house. Tend to the affairs of the kids or the homes. What if there is oppression out there? What if there is a need, a call for me to get outside? I can't do anything? No, that's a man's job. Sayyidah Zainab didn't say that was a man's job. At the end of the day, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he had several sisters. He had several brothers. But why did he take Sayyidah Zainab? He knows that the goal is not Kufa. It's Karbala. Hence why he brought a Sayyidah Zainab, because he knew that she was the only one qualified to take the reins after him, after he is martyred, because she is the only one eligible and able to continue that wonderful qafila. The children of Rasulullah from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham. She was the only one that can handle that situation. Salamullahi alayha. With the children crying. Imagine children today, mothers have a hard and difficult time dealing with them. The fathers won't deal with them. They'll just throw them to the mothers. Your son is crying. Deal with them. It's not my responsibility. Could you imagine a Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam? The several daughters, the children of Abu Abdullah, the Hashimiyat, the women from Banu Hashim, the women that would accompany their husbands who were just killed, the women of the wives such as Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, Wahab al-Nasrani, all of these shuhada. Sayyidah Zainab had to tend to their needs. It's as if, see, Abu Abdullah, he didn't take the husband of a Sayyidah Zainab, Abdullah bin Ja'far al-Tayyar. He, in some narrations, he was either blind or Imam al-Hussein gave him permission, stay back in Medina, just stay back. He wouldn't take him, but he took his wife. He wouldn't take Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, his brother that demonstrated power on the event of Siffin. Some narrations would say he also gave him permission to stay behind in Medina. Because if all the men go and they all die, who's going to stay from Banu Hashim in Medina? So he would tell them to stay back. He wouldn't take these men, but why would he take his sister? Can she fight? No. So he knows the goal is not Kufa. It's going to be Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. As Imam Zainul Abidin says, what was the most difficult during this entire journey? Was it the event of Karbala? Was it Kufa? He would say, no, Wallah, it was Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. That it was Damascus, Damascus, Damascus. Why was Syria the hardest? Because at that time, before Sham, Sayyidah Zainab saved Imam Zainul Abidin's life 3 times. The Sulala, the lineage of Rasulullah would have stopped had it not been for a Sayyidah Zainab. How so? In Karbala, Shimr bin Dhul Jawshan, la'natullah alayh, tried to come to the tent of Imam Zainul Abidin and kill him. If it wasn't for Sayyidah Zainab standing in front of him like that, say, if you want to kill him, kill me first. Are you a man? Then Imam Zainul Abidin would have been martyred on that day. The second time she saved his life was in the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, la'natullah alayh, in which he says, who are you, to Imam Zainul Abidin? Imam Zainul Abidin would say, Ana Ali ibn al-Hussein. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad would say, we killed Ali ibn al-Hussein. He was thinking about Ali al-Akbar. He's like, we killed him. He said, no, I am Ali Zainul Abidin. He's like, okay, come here. We have to remove you now from the face of the earth. Who stepped in front of him and preserved the message of Islam? As-Sayyidah Zainab. She would say, if you want to get to him, you have to go through me. And she would scold him at that moment. The third time was in the court of Yazid, la'natullah alayh, in which Yazid would come and look at Imam Zainul Abidin and he would say, you're still here? Guards, remove him right now. She would stand in front of him again and would say, oh, the one, son of the tulaqa. Because at the end of the day, Muawiyah was part of the tulaqa, al-mu'allifati qulubuhum. They are the ones that were weak in their faith, and Imam Rasulullah would banish them. He's like, "Adhabu fa antum at-tulaqa." That you are the ones that after we conquered Mecca, you guys were still not Muslim. But when I conquered Mecca in the 8th year after Hijrah, only then you entered Islam, okay? So it wasn't maybe necessarily about Iman, it was probably about fear. But anyways, I'll accept that taslim from you. However, you are considered tulaqa. And then Rasulullah would say, the tulaqa are not able to have khilafah. are not able to have rule, neither them or their lineage or their progeny. And then the Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam would say that you are the son of the one that was excommunicated by Rasulullah. How on earth are you sitting on that throne? She would scold them all. But my dear respected brothers and sisters, there was a very, very difficult moment for Sayyidah Zainab beyond all this. That there was a woman, the wife of Imam al-Hussein, by the name of Rabab, they say. She would have that 6-month-old baby, Abdullah al-Radhi'. You see, Yazid la'anatullah alayh, after the event of Karbala occurred, he gathered all the killers of Imam al-Hussein in a meeting, and he would tell them all, what did you do? So he gathered Sinan bin Anas, he gathered Shimr bin Dhul Jawshan, Harmala bin Kahil, he gathered Umar ibn Sa'ad. He put them all in a room, and Yazid sat on a chair like that, and he would look at Sinan, what did you do? He would say, I slapped the son of Rasulullah. And he would look at Sinan, and he would say, what did you do? He would look at He would also look at Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad from Kufa. What did you do? He said, I tried my best to remove them, and we whipped their backs like that. And then he would look at Umar ibn Sa'ad. He would tell him, what did you do? He said, what did I do? I did everything in Karbala. He would also look at that man, and he would ask him, what did you do? He's like, I removed the left hand of Abbas. And they would say it like that. There was a particular man, brothers and sisters, Yazid la'anatullah alayh, looked at Harmula bin Kahil. He would tell him, what did you do? What was your role in Karbala? You know what Harmala said? He said, Hussein had a 6-month-old baby. Yazid was sitting like this. He instantly sat like that. He said, yeah? And what did you do? Silence at that moment. Everybody was scared. For the last minute, you were telling everybody, what did you do? And they told you, you were perfectly fine. But now he's sitting up like this. He said, yeah? And what did you do? He said, well, Hussein had a 6-month-old baby. What happened? He said, I was ordered. I saw Hussein coming. He was holding that baby. He came to the field. And he would say, listen, O army of Umar ibn Sa'ad, we men may have been the ones you were after, but what is the crime of a 6-month-old baby? See, a baby, when it doesn't have water, it can't scream, it can't cry. So Imam Hussein only feels its pulse. There is no screaming, there is no crying. Aba Abdullah went to the battlefield, and he would say to the qawm, to the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad, if we men have created any crime, however, what is the crime of a 6-month-old baby? Allow him a drop of water. Some men from the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad would say, give him water, he is just a baby. You know what Umar ibn Sa'ad would say? He said, Wallah, if the whole world was water, we wouldn't give you a drop. La'natullah alak. And then they would say, Harmala bin Kahil, he took out his arrow. They would say, the arrow tip, he put it over fire. What kind of monster are you? Yazid would ask him, and then what did you do? He would say, I pulled back the arrow and I shot the son of Imam al-Hussein. There was one event that was really heartbreaking to all of them, they say. They say that because of the heat of the arrow, the baby, when it was struck in the neck, it started flapping its arms like that, hugging Imam al-Hussein. They say that Imam al-Hussein would embrace the baby like this. He would return back to the tents, but he doesn't know who to give the child to. Do I take the child to his mom, or do I take the child to the other women? How can a mother handle seeing her baby with an arrow in its neck? Do you know who Imam al-Hussein took the child to? Musa'ib Zainab. He would take the baby to his sister, and she would take care of it and would take him back to Rabab. Yazid, you know what he said at that moment when Harmala told him about the event? He would say, لَقَدْ انتصر علي الحسين بهذا الطفل. That Hussein was successful and overpowered me from this baby. How? Because you monsters. He knew you guys weren't going to give him any water, yet you still killed his child. What would have changed in Karbala had you gave him water? Would he become more powerful? Would he override you? No, it would have been the same. You didn't show mercy to even a baby. History will remember you all, and even me, as the monsters that killed the children of Rasulullah. Inna lillah وإنا إليه راجعون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون فرج عنا يا الله. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم 10 times يا الله 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 يا الله. Oh Allah, we ask you on behalf of Ali al-Asghar, on behalf of Abdullah al-Radi, Ilahi farrij anna, Ilahi shafi mardana, Ilahi ajil thumma ajil li waliyika al-faraj. Ilahi, on this night, tomorrow is the Yawmul Ashir, the 10th of Muharram. Try to be here. I mentioned this in the beginning, but today, right now, I will reiterate it. That if you have work tomorrow, it's makruh, brothers and sisters, to go to work on the most tragic day in Islamic history. So if you can, postpone it. If you cannot really, then postpone it until Salatul Dhuhr. So inshallah ta'ala, we will all be here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. And we ask Allah to grant us the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussein in this dunya, and the shafa'ah of Aba Abdullah in the akhirah. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والعلماء والشهداء سيما من أوصانا بالدعاء رحم الله من قرأ السورة المباركة الفاتحة بعد الصلوات.